for future references as well. And then I'm going to go ahead and start up a quick little intro PowerPoint, and then we will get into the actual software. So bear with me. Okay, you should all begin to see my screen. If anybody cannot see my screen at this time, if you would raise your hand, that would be great. That way I know if we can continue or not. Again, there's a little hand-looking icon over on the far right-hand side of the webinar tools. Okay, I think we're good to continue. So this is, again, just a quick little introduction about what Sign Request is. Sign Request, this webinar is going to be part 2 of a 2-part series of presentations that we're doing over the next couple of months, every other week. Part 1 is about our base product, which is called MPS. MPS is, just as a quick overview, software that captures the data that you print and allows you to be able to manipulate that data, control that data in a point where you can actually categorize it, add finishing costs to it, and then get true value costs of everything that you've printed and use it for accounting purposes, for marketing purposes, for sales purposes, and be able to generate a multitude of reports that are beneficial for your sign room. This, today, what we're covering, the Sign Request front end, is a module for that. It's an available module for an additional purchase. Sign Request is a way for you to be able to streamline your communication with your sales force. It's a simple and effective way to improve productivity. It allows you to be able to have your sales reps, modern technology, out in the sales force, out in the market, actually streamlining how they communicate with you their sales needs, their sign needs. Okay. The thing about front end is that it's a customizable request form that you can create. So you have a standard customizable form that you completely control and create that allows you to decide what information you need to gain from each of your sales reps as they submit files to you. It's fully compatible with all handheld devices out there on the market, all the major handheld devices, including the iOS systems, the Android systems, and even the Windows handheld systems. You can track requests through automatic status changes. So when a sales rep does submit a request, he can see what status it's in. He can log back in at any point and see what all his request statuses are. And you can see it as well, and so can any sales manager if you want sales managers to be in the loop. You can have it await for a sales manager approval or sent directly to you as a designer or in the sign room. It's fully integrated with the MPS software by TMS, which we just discussed for a moment there, where we can talk about how that's integrated later on, but be aware that this works with that software. And it fulfills sign requests quickly with automatic keyword additions. We'll talk a little bit about that as well as we move forward and what that means. Sign request form is easy to create. Once we train you on how to create your sign request form, it's something you'll simply be able to do. Individuals' logins make for streamlined content. Each individual sales rep, each individual sales manager all have their own logins, so they see their own things that are applicable to them. They don't see other sales reps. The sales managers only see the sales reps that are reporting to them. The operator sees everything. The main sign room operator sees everything. Okay? It's easy to see the status of all applicable sign requests from any login and instantaneous delivery of sign requests to the appropriate personnel. So you're able to actually see the status changes. You're able to see automatic notification back saying that the sign request has changed in its status or that it's ready to be picked up, any of those types of things. So you can choose the automatic notification and what levels of notification should go out, as well as streamlined design interface with the keywords. So less production time involved, less time taken away from production to actually categorize your jobs if you're using the MPS interface now. This saves you a lot of time. All right. So any questions so far about just kind of what sign request is before we actually open the interface and start showing you everything? I'm going to jump over from time to time and take a moment to pause and look for hands. I do have a question, so let me get to that real fast. Oh, it was put down. Tristan, if you still have a question, go ahead and raise that hand again. Thank you for the patience, everybody. I'm just waiting for the question to be up. Here it is. Can this be used without MPS? Thank you for the question. No, this is integrated with the MPS-based product. So you have to have the MPS-based product, and this is a module to it. It's an additional piece. Any other questions so far? Okay, I think this is it so far, so I'm going to go ahead and just jump on and kind of start to show you the interface. We'll talk about pricing a little bit more later on. But MPS, let me just jump over here to my website. So I'm logging in as a sales rep at this moment. This would be a sales rep interface from any handheld device. All right? And what they have the ability to do, as you can see here on the screen, is they can see all of their sign requests that they have made. They can see the status of the sign request. They can run reports based on specific date range criteria or name value criteria or whatever it might be. They have the ability to come in here and also look for status filters. So show them everything that's been issued or everything that's in draft mode or everything that's been printed or everything that's been completed. They can do that. Or they can also do specific if it was a custom size or one that was created from a template. And again, I'll get into what that means in a moment. So this is just their first overview when they log in. Okay? Now, what we can do from this login is I can create a new sign request. As a sales rep, this is what they see, and I think this is the great place to start so that you kind of get to see the functionality of the sign request form. So I'm just going to say this is my MPS webinar sales form test. Okay? You can name it whatever you want. Name of the company, the account that you're actually creating the sales request for, a specific sales request number. Maybe you've got a numbering system already in place. You can put that numbering in here. Then when the sign request pops open, none of these fields in here are default fields. So these are fields that I've created. And I'll show you how to create these fields in a minute. Okay? Let me actually restate that. There are default fields. One of them is what is the width and height, how quantity, the name that you may want of the file. Those are things that do need to be filled out. But the rest of these are pretty much items that you can actually create into the form the way that you want it. So in this form, I've had a predefined size templates because I don't like my sales reps to go out and define their own sizes. I want stuff that's going to be templates that we constantly use, a 10 by 3 banner, a 2 by 3 poster, a 3 by 2 poster, a cooler wrap, whatever. You put in the sizes that are important to you, and you can actually create this field so that they just select that, and that would put in the correct sizes here. And then they can't edit those sizes. However, if you want to leave them as this is blank, they can come over here and put whatever they need to. So maybe they have a custom size window or something that they're creating a file for. So it's 43 inches by 50 inches. A little bit weird of a window shape, but hey, it happens. We could put that in there. They can select a labor template, which is, hey, every time I print something that is for a window banner, I need to add an additional $3 in cost. You could do that right here. Okay? How many do you need? Now, here's the fun thing. In this request form, I told them that I want them to be able to tell me what brand it was for, what accounts type it was for, what is the theme or the special event it was for, and all of these pull in from my MPS database. Again, in MPS, you have the ability to categorize your files, and so if I've created a category for brands in MPS, this pulls from that. So I can put in, this is for Bacardi. This is Bacardi right there. I don't even have to start typing it out. Or maybe it was for Budweiser. Okay? It was for a grocery chain. And the theme, well, this was for basketball, or this was for March Madness, or this was for the NHL playoff series, or whatever. Whatever I want them to be able to select from. Again, this is, I'm going to keep reiterating, this is customizable by you. I'll show you in a moment how to create these custom fields. But this is the form as it sits. Now you can come in and make each one of these fields so that they have to be selected or that they're optional. Okay, that's up to you when you create the form. In this, I also made them check this note that says based on customer request, costs can change considerably. And then also the material type that they wanted to print on. Notice it doesn't say EPMWR dash and give out a part number, because we can create aliases for our part numbers that they can select from and then give them descriptions so that they make sense. Indoor banner material. Hey, this is the material we use when we hang from ceilings inside the building. Window film. This is the material that we stick to windows. It has holes so that you can see out of the building and that you can only see the print from the outside of the building looking in. Okay? So you give that kind of little description so that they can see what it is they're choosing from, because they're sales reps. They're not designers and printers. Okay? So they select what's important. Okay? You can also give them access to be able to select what finishings they may need with it. Do they want it laminated? Do they want it on foam core? What is it that they need? They can attach files, and this is really kind of cool. You can attach any sort of file that you want in here. Maybe it's a logo. Maybe it's a picture of the place that it's going up. Maybe it's a Word document or an Excel spreadsheet with some additional instructions. You can also put additional instructions down here. Make sure that when you hang this, you don't screw it up. So whatever you want. I mean, they can put whatever notes in there. And then they get an estimated cost. Now, this is not the estimated cost. They actually get that when they hit save. And then they pop back out here and they say, oh, well, that was going to be $7.18. If they go back into that, it's saved as a draft, you see, because I did not send it. I did not submit this to anybody else. This is just submitted as a draft. But if I wanted to submit this to a manager for their approval, if I wanted to cancel their request, I could do that here. I can open this as a PDF and print it out. You do see the estimated cost here. Any question on how the forms operate? I'm going to jump back over to look at questions from time to time. Let me just look. Looks like, Tristan, you still have your hand raised, but I don't see a question. Do you have a question? Matthew has his hand raised. So I'm going to give it a moment here and maybe answer any questions that they may have. All right, here comes the question. This is from Matt. Is there a way to incorporate all the account names instead of them typing any given name that they want? Yes, absolutely, Matt. It's the same way. Thank you. Wonderful question. It's the same way that we are looking at this right here in the sign request itself when we look at the brands. Okay? So when we were looking at brands, if you see, these are populating not from a list that they're typing out, but this populates from my database within MPS that I have pre-set up and pre-designed. So in MPS, I have a keyword category for brands, and it has all of my brands in it. If in MPS you have a keyword category for accounts, and you have all of your accounts in it, they have to come through here and select it. If you make this, if you make a field called accounts, and maybe we'll just do that real quick here. So this is a perfect segue, Matt. Let me get out of the form, and now I'm actually going to log in real quick as the administrator for the MPS front-end interface. So now I'm logging in, and the administrator would be, maybe it would be you, Matt, or it could be the sign room manager, whoever that may be. They can come in here, and this is where we create the accounts, the request form, the sign request forms. Okay. So as you can see, there are fields that I can create. If I want to create a new field, and I want to call it accounts, okay, and I'm going to make that a required field. So I'm going to check it. They have to select from here, and it is a keyword from a category, meaning it's going to look at my MPS keyword lists. Okay. Now they have to come in here, and it's a drop-down field. That's great. What category am I pulling it from? Well, I'm pulling it from account name and number. Now I'm going to save that. Okay. Now, here I am as the sales rep again. I just switched my logins. Now I'm at the sales rep. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to click new, and this is going to be testing 1, 2, 3. And click OK. And now you can see there's an accounts field. And here's all my accounts. It has an account number and the account name. So 00136. So I have to start typing. I can start typing it out. I don't have to go scrolling through it. 00136. And there it is right there. Giant store number 6647. Does that answer your question, Matt? We're also kind of getting into how to create the form at this point, so it may stimulate some other questions. Let me jump back over and make sure. So the follow-up question is, would you be able to import all of the accounts in the initial setup or added like in the previous keywords? Maybe clarify that a little bit. In the previous keywords, you mean like you're currently doing an MPS? Is that what you're asking? No, fantastic. Do you have to import them one at a time by typing them out one at a time, or do you have to, or can you import them from like an Excel spreadsheet? I believe is the question. Is that right, Matt? Perfect. So that's a great question. Let me show you kind of how that's done right now in MPS software. So in the MPS software, if you have a keyword that you want to create, let me jump back over here. I'm going to pretend like I'm a manager real quick. I can come in here and I can create a keyword, and I can manage my existing keywords right here under the keyword interface. So if I come in and add a keyword category, let's say I care about, I'm going to make up a category, technical support team. Okay, and technical support team for TMS, we've got Justin, we've got Les, we've got Sean, we've got Josh, we've got Carl. And you could see I just typed that all out. Okay? Yes, you could do it this way. You can also do it so that if you want to import from an Excel spreadsheet, we can do that as well. So let me just open up a spreadsheet, and I'm going to put the same values in here. Justin, Carl, Sean, Les, Josh. I'm going to put Brina. I'm going to put Tristan. So there's several names right here. Imagine that this column is full of the values that you want. Please avoid any commas. We don't want comma-separated values. We do not want. We just want to, and try to avoid as many of the punctuations as you can. But once you have your list, you just grab what you want. I'm going to do a Control-Shift-Down arrow, so it selects everything in that area. Control-Shift-Down arrow, there it is. I'm going to Control-Copy. Now I'm going to jump back over here to my MPS. I never entered any values. Control-Paste. So you can paste them all into your MPS and create your category. And now I have those categories available. And now if I jump back over to my sign request form and I add a new field, I know this would never apply to anybody out there, but tech support personnel. And I'm going to come over here and say it's a required field. I've got to choose from it. It's a keyword from a category, which is a drop-down, and it is technical support team. Save that. Now, as, again, sales rep, I come in here. I'm creating a new sign request. And now when they fill out all their stuff, one of the things that they have to fill out is technical support personnel, because I just made that a required field. And here it all is. And again, they can type it in or they can scroll down to it, whatever is applicable. Okay? Does that answer any questions about that? And is there any further questions regarding any of the information that we've gone over so far? Okay, looks like that answered Matt's question. Great, Matt. Thank you. Anything else? Matt, did you still have a question? Your hand was still raised. All right, perfect. Okay, we're moving on. So that's the sales rep interface. That's how you create the forms. So in the sales rep interface, how you actually submit your forms, and then in the manager interface for the account manager, how you actually create the forms. Those are the two things that we've gone over so far. Let me talk to you about actually how you submit the files now for print, because these are drafts. So I'm going to open up another draft. Here's Lolly's Pop Shop. And they filled out all the required fields, and this is ready to go. But for some reason, we just wanted to save it for a later point where we'd be able to maybe add in the logo that we were missing. Okay? So here's my logo. And now I'm going to submit this to a manager, or I can cancel the request. If I submit this to a manager, you'll see that this actually changes in the status to issued. Okay? Now, I'm going to log in as the sales manager. So a sales manager, the sales manager for Kyle is David. And now I'm logged in as David, and I can see all the things that my sales reps under me have submitted for approval so that I can determine whether or not they need to actually be done in the sign room. Okay, this is a really cool thing. Now we can bypass this step by making the sales or the sign room operator the manager. So it just comes right to them in either way. Okay? But if you have sales managers, or if you want to have your items approved for print by a sales manager first, this is the way to go. So as a sales manager, I see all of the files that have come in for the sales reps that are under me, and I can see their statuses just like I could as a sales rep. I can actually narrow down to the specific sales rep that I want to see the files for. I can look in the search date range. I can look for a specific name of a file or number for a file, or I can look for a specific status of files. Okay, so if I only want to see files that have been issued, I can apply that filter, and it will only show me the issued files. That means things that need my approval as a sales manager. Now, here's the cool thing. I can see the cost of the file right up front. Oh, man, that's $350. Obviously, this one's not. It's $35. But this is $350. There's no way I'm going to approve that for Lolly's Pop Shop, who only does $500 with us in revenue every quarter. I mean, that would be ridiculous. So I'm going to say, no, I don't want to actually approve this. I'm going to decline that. Or nope, I'm going to cancel the request, make sure that that was right. So if I decline that request, this is what happens. I put in a reason, say, this costs too much for this account. Okay, it's declined. Now, let me log back in as the sales rep, and I am going to pop over and come back so it refreshes. I can see it's been declined. Here's my status right here. Lolly's Pop Shop has been declined. Now, if a file has been declined, it shows the reason why, and then I can scroll down, and I can change the information about this. Oh, yeah, I didn't mean 100 copies. I only meant 10. That's why it costs so much. And then I can resubmit this back to the manager. So if I resubmit this back to the manager with the changes that I've made, Now as a manager, I can come over here. Again, I'm going to refresh the screen by just jumping over, come back. Okay, it's been reissued. Oh, yeah, now it's only $3, now it's only $35. This makes a lot more sense. So yes, I'll go ahead and approve this. And if I approve this now, it then changes the status to approved, which then shows up over in my operator login. So now I'm going to log in as if I'm a sign room operator. So as a sign room operator, this is the MPS interface for those who are familiar with it. This is the standard MPS interface. Under sign requests, I see all of the requests that have been approved and that are ready for me to print, or the ones that I've got in an imprint status and I just need to complete, or whatever the issue might be with the sign. Everything that's passed beyond the manager, I can see in here. Okay? So I can open up Lolly's Pop Shop, and I can download any attachments that were attached to this one. In this case, there wasn't one. I didn't actually put a file on here. But I can see what needs to be done. I can open this as a PDF. I can print it out so that I've got this saved. I can print out multiple at the same time and download them all as PDFs and print them all out. And then I can actually say, yep, I'm working on this. So mark in progress. So it says now in print, which again sends a notification to the sales manager and to the sales rep. So here's the sales manager. I'm going to come over to account, come back and refresh. Now we can see Lolly's Pop Shop is in print. And the sales rep can see that as well. So as the sales rep, here I am. Come over to my account, come back. Oh, look, Lolly's Pop Shop is in print. So that means that the operator is currently working on it. Okay? So there's notification all along the way of status changes. There's also a really cool thing that allows us to be able to see when we print up this data. So let me go ahead and I'm going to create a PDF real fast of this. Open as a PDF. There it is. And you can see issues or status changes on here. So it shows you a history of what happened. So it was issued by Kyle Jacobson at this time. It was declined on this date and this time. It was reissued. It was approved. And it was then marked in print. Okay? Once we complete it, another status change history item will show up in here. Okay? Any questions so far? I know I'm going over a lot of information. Let me just jump over and make sure. Looks like we've got a couple of questions, or a couple of hands raised anyway. So I see your hands raised. If you've got a question, I'll wait for a moment. Let's grab those questions. Ryan has a question. Can you see if something has initially been declined when it comes back as issued? Or do you have to remember what you've already declined? Do you have to check the history separately? So you'll see the current status of any of the files that you're printing. Just like this, like we can see right here. Draft. This is obviously logged in as a sales rep, but as a sales manager, you would see that it's either in an issued status, or it's in a declined status, or it's in a canceled status, or it's in a approved status. You'll see all of those things, and it keeps a history of everything that you've done. So you'll be able to run a report on anything that you've done in the past. Does that answer your question? This shows you current and history. And then you can filter to what you want to see. So for example, let me jump over here, Ryan, and maybe we can answer your question a little further here. And if not, please keep typing out a question. I'm going to jump back over here as a manager. Let's see. I got to minimize this, get it out of my way so I can see who I'm logged in as. Okay. As a manager. And let's say I decline this Manny's Mud spot. Okay. So this has been declined. I put in my reason. My reason is test. It shows as declined in my interface. Okay? If I leave and come back, it still shows as declined in my interface. If I want to run a report and show me everything that has been declined, it shows what is declined. That is the current status of this file that I have in the past declined. Okay? It does not show me both statuses of declined and resubmitted and approved right here, but it does when we log in and we print up the PDF. So if I open this as a PDF, it shows me that this was marked as issued and marked as declined. And that's the current status. So perhaps that answers your question. Let me just jump back over and see if it does. If you have a job that has time between requests, can you see at a glance that this job was previously declined but now shows as issued? Okay, yeah, you have to check that PDF. That shows you the area, that's the area that shows you everything about that specific job. There's nothing at a glance right there. However, let me show you also, let's see, let me jump back over here. I'm going to log in as, this is as the sales rep. No, this is as the, so I'm logged in as the operator, the sign room operator, actually doing the prints. So you can see the current status of any job, and you can also see that again in here, where it's going to show you that history. You have to open up the PDF, but it will show you that history, and you can print this PDF out, and it'll show you everything there. I hope that makes sense. Now, I should also notate, guys, as we're going through this, that if you have a suggestion for something that should be different and it makes sense to be applied to everybody, we love taking all of your suggestions. Most of the things that we're looking at here in this MPS interface have been based on a ton of feedback, okay, from customers in use. So please let us know if you have suggestions. We love improving this software. It's our own in-house engineering team that's working on this, and if it's something that's going to enhance what we're doing, we love it. So please. Looks like some more questions, so I'm going to jump back over. If we have 6 sales teams submitting to different designers, can the sales teams dictate which designers they get submitted to? If designer 1 handles sales teams 1 through 3 and designer 2 handles sales teams 4 through 6, can they be separated and bypassed through the manager? Each designer would handle approvals. I understand the question. You want to be able to segregate who does what as far as the designers and operators, who handles what sales teams. So let me look at this real quick. We're currently doing something similar. Let me jump back over here to the sign request form, and you can see that there is under sizes, right now we've just got it done by sizes. Not to have it segregated automatically, Matt, not at this point. That's something we can look at, although it's very simple right now to actually do it yourself as an operator. So let me log back in as an operator here. Here I'm logged in as an operator, and I see everything for Kyle Jacobson. You can see right here at a glance on the right-hand side, it shows me who the sales rep is. And I can actually change who I want the sales rep to, who I want to pull files for. Okay? So what I mean by that is if you have only 3 sales reps, or 3 teams that you're worried about, you can actually select their names individually here. And you can put in exactly what it is you want to search for and then apply that filter, and it will only pull for those specific sales reps. Okay, does that answer your question, Matt? Let me jump over. Fantastic, good. Okay, any other questions so far? I'm going to clear up some of the history here of the questions. Okay, so moving on, we've now covered, just to go as a recap, we've covered what it looks like as a sales representative, which is over here under, let me log back in as a sales rep. I gotta remember which tab it is. Here it is. We've covered what it looks like as a sales representative, how to fill out the forms. We've talked about, as the administrator, how to create the forms, and we've talked about, as an operator, how to open the form and start the form. What we haven't talked about is the really cool features. So let me actually open up one of these that I know is going to work for the scenario that we're looking at. Okay, that's perfect. This will work. So this is sign request number 24. You can see it actually receives a specific valued number along with the name of the file that you've given it. And when I come over here to my dashboard now, I'm logged in as an MPS user, okay? And as an MPS user, in the past, I've come in here, I've opened up a file, and I've typed in the keywords that I want to be applied to this account. So maybe it's for Quick Trip, maybe also Budweiser, maybe it's Bud Ice, maybe it's for the, I think basketball was one of the keywords, basketball, there we go. So I've had to type out these keywords on my own. Now what you do is you can say, nope, this file that we're confirming, actually, I'm just going to fulfill a sign request, and it's number 24. And you can see, okay, well, here's all of the things that were applicable to number 24. It's a 48 by 120. They've selected all of these finishing things. Here's the brands that were selected. Here's the theme that was selected. Here's the notes that were about it. And I can mark it right here as either printed or as complete. And if I mark it as complete and hit select, and I confirm and close that sucker, now, as we come back over here and jump over here, we can see where that was done, and it automatically applied the keywords for me. So I don't have to type out keywords anymore. That saves you a lot of time as a designer, as an MPS user, where you just fulfill the sign request and it's done. Now if we come over here to the sign request tab, we can see that that has changed to a completed status. That completed status is also sent in an email notification to the sales rep and to the sales manager if you'd like to be able to have that go to the sales manager as well. Again, completely customizable by the administrator of the accounts to determine who gets emails and when they get emails. But now the sales rep knows that this is completed, and he can come pick it up. Okay? Any questions about any of this information? I see a couple of questions here. Any ways step and repeats can be shown in pictures? Matt, that's a fantastic question. This is something we run up against all the time. Step and repeat nesting files are treated as a specific file, a singular file, from EFI, and it does not include a thumbnail preview at this point. We are actually developing a software that doesn't just rely on what EFI gives to MPS, but takes the information from EFI instead and tries to break it apart. We'll know in the next couple of weeks whether or not that will work, because we want to be able to break apart step and repeat in nested files and be able to show the thumbnail previews and be able to confirm them individually and all that kind of stuff. Okay? Is there a way to prioritize requests giving due dates by material? Yeah, absolutely. So you can actually come in. Let's come back to I'm logged in as Omar here. Let me jump over. Instead of being an operator, I'm going to be logged in as the sales rep for a moment here. So you can see that there's not a due date notated in here. Okay. However, what we can do is we can come over to the administrative login, which I must have closed. Nope, here it is. We can come over to the administrative login, and when we create a field, we could put in here a due date, and then put in here what it's going to be a date picker, and it's required. Now, when I save this, it saves that field. Maybe I want to move this up in priority. So I want to grab this. I want to move this. This due date is going to go all the way up to the top. Okay, and now I'm save that. Now I'm going to log back in as the sales rep, and I'm going to create a new sign request. Due date. Okay. So now you can see due date is right here, and I can check. I can select a specific date that's due. So I need to have this done. It's the 18th. I need to have it done by the 23rd, or by the 21st, or whatever it might be. So once I've selected my due date, I can continue on with the rest of my selections in the form. Does that help? I believe that answers your question. Let me just make sure. I don't see any other questions here, so it must have answered. If anybody has a question that I am not seeing, go ahead and type again. It looks like there was a little bit of a glitch. Oh, there's one. There's one. Thank you. Is there a way to organize as the signed person? Jeremy, explain to me what you mean by that. Jeremy's asking if we can organize the files as a salesperson, so as a signed person. Excuse me. So Jeremy, let me as you're typing that question, if you could just make sure that we get that question answered thoroughly. If you could restate that. Let me jump over and answer what I think you mean, which is if I log in here as I'm the signed person now I'm the signed person. Okay. So as the signed person, I have a way of organizing by sales rep, by state, by the date range that it was submitted, but I don't have a way of organizing by due date. And maybe that's what you're asking. I can organize by the date that it was requested, but not by the due date. So as the files come in, if you open up the PDF, you'll see the due date on there if you've created a due date field. You can also do a search. So for example, if you've got a due date, and maybe we should just go through that motion real quick. Let me log back in. I'm going to due date tracker. I'm going to fill this out. So I'm just going to randomly select a bunch of stuff here. The 22nd, 9/22. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. So I duplicated that due date on the form accidentally, but I can get rid of that. I'm going to add a file. It's going to be Bedman JPEG, and I'm going to submit to manager. You can't be empty. Oh, yeah, well. Oh, let's actually pick something that's ahead in time. Or maybe it's because it's competing with each other. Yeah, let me get back over to the form and actually finish deleting that file. some technical difficulties at the moment. It's going to have, give me a moment here. I'll be right back. I'm going to get this processed real fast. So the due date tracker, I've created a file that was kind of corrupt. And it's partially because I'm logged into a database that's not live. This is all done on a staging database that I'm showing this to you. It does work on the live interface. Let me give you a better example here. For example, this one is in print, and it has the term basketball in it. Let's pretend that that is a due date. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump back over here to the operator login, and I'm going to search for basketball. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and apply that filter. So that should search through everything, and it should actually show a value specifically for the files that have basketball in it. Basketball, and show in print. See, that one doesn't show it. We're running into some of the not live database issues here. So this one actually was the one that showed the basketball right here under test. Maybe it didn't show basketball, that's why. Save. So as an operator, I can change these to whatever I want them to be. I can add and change these things. As the sign room operator, I can come in and change any values in case they actually did make some mistakes in the way that they created this file. And when that happens, it goes through and it makes the changes all the way back, and the sales rep can then see also in that that history of the PDF the changes were made, and they were made by the operator. So that's done. For values of custom data. Let me just make sure I did do that. Okay. So that's on there. So now I should be able to search by. There it is. So if you had a due date in there, you could actually type in the date and hit apply filter, and it would show you in that type. So if you want to see everything that's due for tomorrow, for example, you could type in the date and hit apply filter, and it would show you for tomorrow. Or if you want to type in 2 days from now's date, you have that ability as well. Okay? Looks like we've got a bunch of questions here. Let me jump over. Multiple different sizes on one request form. No, currently, Tom, you only have the ability to submit one sign request with multiple copies per form. We are working on the ability to be able to do multiple sizes per one form. That is a feature request that was brought up by somebody else that we're working on. In order to know, let's see. Yep, Jeremy, just like we were talking about for searching by due date. Okay, now the question has come up also about the costs. So this is a perfect segue. We've gone over pretty much what sign request does. If you have any questions about how this operates, you can get a hold of myself offline, or if there's something else that you want to cover in here that we haven't covered, please raise your hand. But as far as costs associated, so let me talk to you about the cost. I'm going to bring up a notepad here. Actually, let's just do this. I'm actually going to bring open a schedule. It's based on a scheduled pricing of tier level pricing. And that tier level is based on how many sales reps and sales managers we're setting this up for, and that we're continuing that subscription for annually. So let me get this open.